So, under the Eighth Amendment, we also have a ban on cruel and unusual punishment. Cruel and unusual punishment is something that seems straightforward, but again, it's not as straightforward as we'd like it to be, especially if we're trying to understand a little bit better. Under the Constitution, the state cannot give you a punishment that is cruel. Usually when we hear cruelty, we assume it was something that is mean just for the sake of being mean. The intent behind our criminal justice system is that if you are convicted of a crime, if you're found not innocent and you did do what you were accused of doing, if you were found to do so by a jury or by admission of guilt, your punishment is not to be cruel. It is not to be a punishment that is something you can't recover from. We like to think that our legal system is built around this concept of reform, that we will reform the criminal, that they won't do it again, that they're going to serve their punishment and they'll be set free. Whether or not that's the case, and whether or not our system is more punitive today, that's a very heavy discussion for another time that I would love to get into, but we're not really going to do that right now. But the court bans severely cruel punishments. It also bans unusual punishments, things that we don't use as punishments anymore. That might be chain gangs were found to be unusual and cruel. Public humiliation, floggings, whippings, those are found to be very cruel and unusual, so we don't do those anymore. One of the biggest items that usually gets tagged with cruel and unusual punishments, especially here in the United States, excuse me, is the death penalty. There are a lot of advocates who say that the death... oh, good Lord, I'm choking. I'm good. Air. Ooh, I can breathe. Okay. So, with the death penalty, the court system has found that the death penalty in and of itself is not cruel and unusual. There might be methods of unaliving that are used that are cruel and unusual, but in and of itself, if you have had a fair trial, if you have been found guilty by a jury, if the prosecution has proved its case beyond reasonable doubt, and if all those conditions have been met and the crime is so heinous that the court feels the death penalty is warranted, then the court has ruled that the death penalty in and of itself is not cruel and unusual. Whether or not we should have the death penalty, whether or not the death penalty should be used, again, another debate for another time. And real quickly, we're going to go ahead and finish the last... Well, no, we're not. We're going to make another video covering the last two amendments, and those should be fun. So that covers the Eighth Amendment. No cruel and unusual punishments, and you get bail. So, yay, if you're convicted of a crime, they can't be excessively cruel to you, I guess. Don't do crimes. Yeah. We'll be back with another video covering our 9th and 10th Amendments.